Hi, welcome back to Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew, and today we have the real video, the real review on the 2014 Mazda 6. This is the Grand Touring model, and we have all the details you might want to know, at least most of the ones that we can fit into this video. So we're going to jump in, hit the road, and tell you all about it. Let's go. Hi, so welcome back to a finally sunny day here in Denver, Colorado, and we are testing the 2014 Mazda 6, as we mentioned in the intro. And I have to say that the thing that's exciting about this Mazda 6 is that the car is all new for 2014. The inside, the outside, under the hood, everything feels new, looks new, and is new, which I like. I think it's exciting to test a car that's just come out, and the 6 is, well, as most people know, it was brought out to replace its predecessor, the 626. We are now in the third generation of the Mazda 6, and so what we have to find out in this real video, the real review, is this car as exciting as it looks from a first impressions? Well, we've done the first impression review, so now we'll get into the nitty-gritty details. One of the things that's interesting about the new Mazda 6 is the SkyActiv technology. You may have seen this on their commercials. Their website certainly does a good job of telling the story of SkyActiv. And what is SkyActiv? Well, really, it's just a set of technology that says that Mazda is doing the best they can to re-engineer these vehicles to be the sportiest, the more performance-oriented, the best cars that they can build to really meet that brand, the old Zoom Zoom feel. And they may not use Zoom Zoom as much anymore, but these cars still have soul, like this car. It is soul red. You see how they pull the brand just sense all through the car. And it's set up to be a very driver-centric car. It has the pretty much monochromatic gauges in the daytime. They're white-faced, or white-lettered with the dark gray or black faces behind them. And what's nice is that the computer components are removed over to the right-hand side, where you would typically find a clock in the older generation cars. So you have your tach on the left, your centered speedometer, and it's kind of nice because 80 pretty much lines up dead top center. Well, it's a little off. And then you've got your trip and your odometer and your temperature all right there where you can see it. Then you have a digital fuel gauge and your computer gauge right above that, all in this other face that at one time could have been a clock, as I said before. And what's nice about it is you can switch through those settings pretty easily. It's a neat system in that you just use it for what it is. Like right now I have it on current miles per gallon, and it's all one color. It's not trying to be a full color display. Some of that is because of the price point of this car, so we might as well disclose that this is the Grand Touring edition, so this is the top of the line Mazda 6. It's going to have almost all the options standard that you could want, with the exception of a few I'll mention in a minute. And it's going to cost you under $31,000 as tested right here, and I bet if you get a deal, it'll cost you even less. So at $30,800 and some change, what all do you get? Well, you have full navigation in this, being the Grand Touring, so I like that. It is powered by TomTom, and it is a fairly small screen. I mean, my hand can just block that out right there. It is not an 8-inch screen like you'll find in some of the other cars like a Charger, and it's not even as big as what's in the new Altimas, but it's still an easy to read screen. It's powered by TomTom, and what's interesting about it is that it's got multiple views. You've got this 3D view that I have up right now, and then you also have a view that is top-down flat map perspective. So it still has a lot of the functionality that you would expect out of a navigation system. Now, of course, it has satellite radio, HD radio, and what I like is that Mazda has added in this control system here So it's touchscreen, and I can reach up and touch it in the middle of the dash here if I want. You've got your volume, and your tune knob is really hard to reach for the driver, I think. That is a reach for the setup and the seat and all that. But down here in the console, right behind the shifter, you also have the audio, the nav, the setup, all of that, the phone. You can all change the modes from down here, and then you can dial around the menus on the screen. So you actually don't have to take your hand away from the lower center here. You don't have to be touching and looking. You can look and scroll, and it is a lot safer. At least that's what a lot of the luxury cars have found. That's why you've seen Lexus go to that mouse system, BMW, Mercedes, Audi. They all have generally systems that you don't touch anymore. So this has the best of both. You can dial around, and you can still quickly reach up and touch it if you're sitting in a parking lot trying to put in an address or something. A lot of really cool stuff there. This car also has memory seats, 1 and 2. It is on the seat itself, so it takes a little bit of looking for, because it's not on the door here in plain sight. So that's something. I drove the car for probably a good couple hours before I actually had looked down at a light and gone, oh, yeah, there is memory seats. So it is down here on the seat bolster, right on the edge of the seat here. You do have power mirrors, power door locks, power windows, all that's become pretty much standard these days. But what's interesting in the 6 is that you still only have an auto up and down, so a one-touch up and down only on the driver's window. I do find that a little bit interesting, considering all the other technology that you can get in this car. Some other neat safety features, we just changed lanes. It does have blind spot monitoring on this model. And you also have in-town braking that can help. Well, it's just a neat feature. It helps you with stopping and getting the right force distribution. You've got dual climate control in this car, heated seats because the Grand Touring comes with that standard, the auto-dimming mirror, your garage door opener buttons. I mean, just a whole host of features. There is a sunroof, which is nice to have. And it's a good size sunroof for the size of the car. And what I think is even more interesting for the rear passengers is that there are actually map lights up here in the back behind the sunroof. And you don't see that all that often. I guess it's just something I picked out in this particular car. Of course, it is a Mazda. It does have the Bose audio system upgrade along with the navigation. And really, when you get down to it, it is a comfortable car. It's got sporty seats. They are narrower. So if you are a larger individual, you're going to want to spend some time in this car and make sure that it's not pinching or hitting somewhere where you aren't going to feel comfortable in a couple hours. Because I can tell you that this is a narrow seat for me, and my 6'2" father, who is bigger than I am, I think finds this car smaller when I've driven him around in it. So what I kind of get the sense of is that this is the largest car that Mazda offers. They never did replace the 929. So you're still stuck between a mid-full size and this, more on the mid-size than the full size with the Mazda 6. But that might be okay, and it does give the impression of being a lot larger than its predecessors, so that is a plus in and of itself. From a driving experience, this car is exactly what I would expect a Mazda to be. Mazda has always had that sporty, driver-centric feeling. It's a car that is a Japanese version of a BMW, if you will. It holds the road well. It's got good response. The 6-speed automatic that comes standard in the Grand Touring, and you can only get the automatic in the Grand Touring, so the upper package. Otherwise, if you got a Sport or a Grand Sport, you could get the manual 6-speed, which would be nice as well in a car like this, especially with the crispness of the steering. It's a little light in the center feel, but when you're driving, the car just feels like it's on rails. It's very much a Mazda experience. It's something that they're known for, the driving experience, the sportiness, and you just don't really feel like you're driving a four-door sedan in this car. Even when you're looking out the windows, you get this very coupe sense and this coupe roofline. So I think if that's the personality you have, that kind of more sports-inspired, driver-centric, and you don't need a BMW or don't want to pay for one, this is a neat little car, especially for under $31,000. And if you option it up a little further, you can get things like radar cruise and the front crash avoidance because you have the radar cruise in it. And as I said, you get on this car and it really does pick up and go. And the 6-speed automatic is well tuned, it shifts crisply, and you have paddle shifters for the manual mode, or you can click it over and shift with the shifter itself. So they've given you all the options. All right, so some things that I think that Mazda could change about this car. Well, it does have push-button start and keyless entry. However, it is still a button on the door handle. It's not the touch sense that you find in a lot of the higher-end cars. And I think that's just, you know, you're on the edge of the difference of technology with the price point. But I like being able to just grab the handle and have the car unlock for me. So pressing the button has kind of become lower class in the car world. That indicates an older technology to me. However, I do like that it's keyless entry. I also like that you can get an auto start option on the automatic. However, I don't like that any time that the key is sitting in the car, I cannot open the trunk from the trunk lid. That really bugs me because a lot of times I'll leave the key sitting on the console so I don't lose it while I'm loading and unloading the car. Because I've had experience with some new cars in my reviews, and you may have seen this, where if you set your key down or drop it in the trunk and shut the lid, it locks itself, and all of a sudden, yes, even in today's day and age, you can lock yourself out of your car. And that's really unfortunate, especially in a car that doesn't have a system that can unlock it for you, like some of the other high-end luxury brands, or even OnStar for GM. So, I mean, I understand why they don't let you open the trunk. It's considered a safety feature, but it's really quite annoying because I have to keep walking around to the driver's side and pressing the button that's down here on the lower panel. I would rather just be able to open the trunk. So, that's one gripe. Another one is that I think from a usability perspective, the car is very sporty, it's nice, but it is a tad on the smaller side if you're looking for a full-size car. So I think you might find more room in the Optima or the Sonata. So that's something that you're going to want to cross-shop this Mazda with. Although I will tell you that I still love the way the Mazda drives. That the driving part of the Mazda is really its saving grace, and it's where I get the most enjoyment. You know, you step on it and it just, see, we grabbed a little rubber there, and it just really goes. And it's just a much sportier sense, and even the outside design, I think, is crisper than some of its competitors. So you kind of give up a little bit of function for the sportiness, which is kind of normal in the sporty world. You know, sports cars were never meant to be practical, yet they still have to have some practicality if you're going to use them every day. That's kind of where you're getting this nice blend in the 6. Okay, finally, the thing that I really want to talk about is that this car does really well with the new engine on fuel economy. You can get up to 40 miles per gallon with some of the models. This particular model is rated for 38 miles per gallon highway, and it will be 26 city and 30 combined from the EPA. So that is something that you're going to want to, take into consideration as well. They have upped the mileage, 184 horsepower, 185 foot-pounds of torque. That's a lot for this size of car, and it gives it that peppy feeling. The SkyActiv technology and all of what that encompasses, when you go on their website, it just shows you how much thought they have put into this car. So I think it just really goes to show you can get a lot and still pay a reasonable price. So check it out, see what you think. It's new for 2014. What can it hurt? And really, they've done a beautiful job with the outside of this car. I think that is the most striking part of the Mazda 6, is the outside. So check it out. We'll have the real wrap-up coming up next. So that's the real video, the real review of the 2014 Mazda 6. This vehicle is all new for 2014, comes in the Grand Touring package right about $31,000, and what's even better is it is a sports four-door. In fact, it's going to give that Nissan Maxima a run for its money because it is a new car in town and it has come to shake it up, especially in this Soul Red, which is a three-stage paint to give it this deep red color, something they've put a lot of thought into at Mazda. There are a lot of neat features you can get on this car, from high-tech features like radar cruise and the front crash avoidance system. But more than that, with the SkyActiv engine and the 186 or so horsepower that it has, it's going to get you 26 miles per gallon in town and 38 out on the highway with a 30-mile combined, which is not bad for this four-door. We really like this redesign. It's really racy looking, it drives well, and Mazda has always had a flair for the sports-tuned enthusiast. So make sure you check one out, but still check out the competition like the Hyundai Sonata, the Kia Optima, and of course the Nissan Altima and Maxima. We'll see you down the road. I'm Jonathan McGrew. This is Real Auto Reports from Real Auto Ranch.